Hello everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I hope all of you are doing good. First of all, welcome to the live stream. If you are new to my YouTube channel, please make sure to subscribe to it. Please make sure to like the live stream. This would really help the video get to the people who are actually interested in this content. So yeah, I would really appreciate if you are able to subscribe to the channel and like the live stream. If you are not following me over Twitter, I occasionally share updates and sometimes calls also over my Twitter account, 𝗟𝘅𝗻𝗏. This is my Twitter handle. You can see that. Uh, if you would like to have slightly more organized feed, market updates, calls, and everything, you can simply just join the Discord server. The link you can find in the description of this video. Let me just slow down the background music. So yeah, if you would like to receive more organized updates, you can always join the Discord server. The link you can find in the description of this video. The link is also going to be in the chat box. So yeah, uh, let's start the live stream. And once again, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Going to be a very important live stream because uh, most of you would already know that we have FOMC coming up tomorrow, decision about interest rates, although it's not really going to be anything surprising, because we already know that the rate cuts are not happening. But still, it still is an important event, so there is going to be volatility because there still is some kind of uncertainty revolving around what exactly are going to be the kind of remarks that we would get to hear tomorrow. So yeah, let's take a look at, first of all, the economic calendar for the rest of the week. The most important event obviously is the decision about the federal funds rate. We have FOMC coming up tomorrow, and then the next important event is on Thursday, which is going to be the unemployment claims. But let's first of all just talk about the FOMC, right? By the way, it's going to be a 2-day meeting. The meeting has already started today. The decision obviously would be announced tomorrow. If you take a look at and by the way, you can track it in real time on this website called CME Group, Fed Watch Tool. This is also called. You can see that the next FOMC meeting is in 1 day, 4 hours, 22 minutes. Once again, just like I said, the meeting already has started, but the decision would be announced tomorrow. But the reason you need to always look at this website is because of this dot plot, right? This is very important. You can see that the current rate 425 to 450 basis point, there is 96.8% probability that the interest rate is going to remain the same. There is not going to be any rate cuts happening this time. You can see that there is 96.8% probability. Just 1 day ago, the probability was still 98.6%. 1 week ago, the probability was at 90.8%. 1 month ago, on 4th of April 2025, the probability was at 66.7%, right? A lot many things have changed since 4th of April, because if you guys remember, on 2nd of April, on Liberation Day, the tariffs were announced, and on that day, after that, the whole situation started changing, right? But just 1 month ago, the probability was at 66.7%. I wouldn't say that the probability has changed much, because at this moment it's 96.8%, which basically means that we are not going to see any rate cuts this time. And Fed also has no reason to cut rates because the labor market is strong. We have discussed the same thing in our market updates as well, that for as long as inflation remains high, for as long as the labor market remains strong, and this was a slightly surprising thing for everyone, for the analysts also, that the labor market still is performing strong. It is still showing signs of resilient. So that's why there is no reason for Fed to cut interest rates this time. But anyways, we are not going to discuss the fundamentals here. But just to let you guys know that although this may seem like a non-event, it still is an important event. There is still going to be volatility. There is still some kind of uncertainty. And what exactly that uncertainty is about? It is about what kind of remarks are we going to hear from Fed Powell, right? Uh, we have seen that in the past, especially during the last 1 month or so, Trump in almost all of his addresses has always targeted him, has called him a slow person, has called him a lazy person. Just last week, he was giving an interview, and in that interview, he said that he basically hates me. He basically hates my policies. He basically hates me, and that's why that is the reason that he is not ready to cut the interest rates. But we know that the federal bank, it's obviously an independent institution, and for as long as they don't have the data to make this decision, they are definitely not going to do that, right? Trump has been trying his best to exert some sort of political pressure on him, but as you can see that in the probability curve as well, it's showing 96.8%. And if you look at the remarks from Powell as well, he constantly has said that they are only going to look at the data. They are not going to make any decisions based on politics and all that. But we can definitely argue on that. The Trump supporters, they can definitely argue on that. But we will be talking about this part later on. First of all, let's take a look at the chart for USDT dominance in Bitcoin, right? What exactly is happening in the market? What exactly is happening in terms of the real-time charts? So USDT dominance, you can see that it's already hitting into this resistance level at 5.21%. We had the first rejection at this resistance level. We had the second rejection at this resistance. We had this third rejection. And now finally, once again, we are back at this resistance. With each one of these rejections, you would have noticed that the retracements are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. We are, if we look at the dynamic lines, we are trading above the point of control for the previous month. We are trading above 1-day 12-period exponential moving average. We are trading above MTF 200 EMA and TVEM band and plus 4-hour quarterly VWAP. So this is a very interesting story because USDT dominance right now is trading above almost all of these major dynamic levels. Recently for the past, especially 1 or 2 weeks, I have noticed that the crypto market has been moving in perfect correlation with the equity market also. And I would be responding to a very important question that I was being asked just yesterday also, that what exactly is the reason that we have opened too many short positions? Because we were regularly opening throughout the month of April, at least during the second half. Almost all of the positions that we opened, almost 90% of those positions were long positions, and they were quite successful as well, right? The reason obviously was because we saw some kind of relief in the market. But during the past 48 hours, 4 or 5 positions we have opened, and almost all of them have been short positions. And just to let you guys know, we have 3 short positions running right now. The first one is on Rose. You can see that this is our entry point on Rose, 0.02674. It's slightly below the entry point. This is a short position. Price may still go back up and retest this entry point. So you can simply just place the limits. The DCA for this short position is at 0.02824. Hard stop loss is at 0.02936. More details you can find in the Discord server, but this is the first short position that we are in. We just opened this short position, an hour ago. It is a risky short position, by the way. The reason being that, the 𝗍𝗏𝗏𝗃 chart that I would be showing you later on, it is basically sitting at a strong horizontal support, right? It is back at the horizontal support. So that's why it is a little bit risky to open any short positions right now, because there is a possibility that if 𝗍𝗏𝗏𝗃 bounces off that support level, alt, all of these altcoins, they are not going to dump like that, right? And the next short position that we have open is on FXS. You can see that this one is already down almost 10%. Another short position that we have open is on GMT. You can see that this one, we already took TP1 on this short position. This one went down almost 6%. It's trading obviously below the entry point. This one is not valid. FXS also is not valid. The only short position which is valid to enter right now is on Rose, right? You can enter into this short position. But once again, let me point out that this short position, it's slightly risky, because _D chart, if you take a look at the _D chart, which I would be showing you later on, it is sitting at strong horizontal support. So if it bounces off that strong horizontal support, then any short position that we open, it's going to face some kind of drawdown. Now, your question might be that if this is the case, that why did we open short position in first place? The reason is very simple, because Bitcoin right now is sitting at a trend line. We already know about trend lines. Bitcoin has been looking very weak, sitting above this trend line, and that's why we opened short positions. But if others.d is sitting on support, and just continues to consolidate at this point, you can see that others.d, it's already bouncing off that level. Okay, this is why I'm saying that it's going to be slightly risky to open any more short position right now. But at the same time, Bitcoin is sitting very weakly above this trend line, right? It's looking extremely weak. So if Bitcoin, there is a possibility that Bitcoin may go down to $92,000 region, which has been the point of interest. This is the point of interest that I've always been talking about in the past few updates, that I'm interested to see $92,000 region at least being tapped, because this is where the point of control for the previous month is. So even if Bitcoin goes down to this level, with others.d continuing to consolidate at this support level, nothing much is really going to happen in the altcoin market, right? So that is why it's really important not to open any random short positions just because market is going down right now. That does not mean that you need to not look at the other factors. Although Bitcoin is looking weak, the equity market is already looking weak. And by the way, regarding equity market, this was the main reason that we opened so many long positions in the past 2 to 3 weeks, because the equity market was looking really good. We had 9 consecutive days of S&P 500 making gains. This was first time in the last 22 years that the equity market rallied consecutively for 9 days. Okay, so this was a historical thing, but obviously that ended just yesterday when price was hitting into this resistance level. I was continuously warning everyone in my market updates as well that the equity market, ES, it's just hitting into a strong resistance level. So it's not a good idea to open any further long positions right now. It would be, even we had like 2 or 3 long positions open. The first one was on EOS. We had to close it break even. We had 3 other limits also, AVA AI, then we had virtuals, and we had AIXBT. We had to cancel those limits because obviously we got a front run on all of those limits. People who were trading on Binance, they got a fill. But for those who were trading on any other exchanges, we obviously got a front run on all of these exchanges. And this is why I don't really prefer opening positions based on limit orders until and unless it's really necessary. I just try to avoid that because if you look at the market cap of all of these coins that we were trading, virtuals, AIXBT, AVA AI, the market cap is huge. But obviously, if you have too many limit orders placed at a certain price level, somebody is going to notice that and they would try to front run you. Even if not, even if someone else from outside is not noticing it, you guys start doing it. Most of the people among us, they just try to place limit orders slightly above the entry point or below the entry point, just in order to front run the rest of the market participants. But you cannot really do anything about that. Okay, I'm not criticizing anyone because I really have no control over this. The only way we can counter this is simply just by opening market orders instead of just going by limit orders, because I had like 3 or 4 very good positions, long position limit orders. All of those positions we got a front run on. EOS also, EOS got filled later on, but initially we had a front run and then it went almost like 5%, 6%. And that is why this is the question to the answer that I get asked a lot in the server also, that if we are going to place any limit orders, yes, we will be doing that, okay, every now and then. But it's not going to be something that we would do very often. We would mainly go with the market orders. I know that it's sometimes difficult for most people uh you know to not be able to catch the market orders, because not every time it's possible for you to be looking at your screen. But this is exactly why I usually give a heads up 15 to 20 minutes before sharing a position, that okay, I'm about to share a setup, so you need to just be ready, right? And most of the times price would just go back to the entry, and you can easily just place the limit order. Sometimes it won't. For example, with FX's trade, price did not go back to entry. We just had a straight dump of almost 10%. But with GMT, we went all the way up to entry point once again, at least 3 to 4 times. and then we just had a move downside 6%, 7%. So you can always place the limit orders. If you miss the entry, you can always place the limit orders. If you are able to catch the entry, you can simply just go with the market order. That's completely up to you, right? But understand that, please try to realize this, that it's not possible to make everyone happy. If we start doing the limit orders, people start complaining that, why exactly are there no market orders? We are just front running, getting front run by the rest of the market participants. If we start doing market orders, people would start complaining that, because I'm busy, I have a job, I have a family, so I was not able, I was sleeping, I did not look at the setup, and now I just missed the setup. So, there is nothing much that you would be able to do about it, right? It's quite simple. If everyone in the market starts making money, then who would be on the losing side, right? It's a zero sum game. You need to understand this. It's a zero sum game. Someone has to be on the losing side for you to make money, right? I'm not talking about us. I'm just talking about the people who are trading on the opposite side. So someone has to lose money. Someone would have to miss out on the position. Someone would have to place the limit orders for you to be able to make money. So it's not possible that everyone, starts making money. If this was the case, then, market would no longer remain favorable. Okay. uh Adrian is saying, boss, just keep doing. People will always complain. No, no, no. That's completely fine. Everybody has a right to complain. I completely understand that. I know that people usually complain about almost everything. And they have a right to do so. Especially for those of you who are in the Discord server. If one or two people they are complaining, then they obviously have a right to do so. But in my Discord server in Foxian, I obviously share a heads up 15 to 20 minutes before, which is a really good thing. I don't really do that, in any other server. I would just give a 15 to 20 minutes heads up saying that, okay, I'm about to share a setup. So you need to just be, on your screen. You just need to, uh, focus on the channel because I'm about to share the setups, and usually it's very helpful. But anyways, this was the explanation that I wanted to give, because I was getting a lot many questions about if it's going to be limit orders, if it's going to be market orders. We tried placing the limit orders, and that was a good idea, placing the limit orders, because at that time I did not want to chase the price. At that time, everything was back on Thursday and Friday. Last Thursday and Friday, everything was going up, so it was a really good idea to simply just place the limit orders, and wait for almost all of these AI coins to go back down to the higher time frame supports that they had reclaimed. But unfortunately, we got front run on almost all of these limit orders, 0.001%. Can you imagine this? Which obviously makes sense, because a lot many people, they were trying to front run us. So that's when I decided that, okay, the limit orders, that is not going to be the way forward. We would simply just go with the market orders, and it has been working good so far. So yeah, no need to complain. You can always place the limit orders even when there is a market order. Okay, so three short positions open. First one is on ROSE. The second one is on FXS. The third one is on GMT. These two positions, the stop loss has already been moved to the entry point, which means that these two positions are completely risk free. The third position on ROSE, the stop loss has not been moved to break even, but yeah, you can still see that it's going good right now. If it goes back to the entry point, you can still enter into this short position. Bitcoin already has started going down. This is what I was referring to, that initially also, that since it has been sitting on the trend line, let's just start talking about Bitcoin also, because we have been talking about all the other stuff and the moves already have started happening. The reason why I have been more and more focused on the short positions, first, because Bitcoin has been sitting above this trend line. This should be a common knowledge by this time. If you have been watching some of my previous live streams, this should be a common knowledge for you, that as soon as you would draw an upward forming trend line, you would know that price is about to break below the trend line, and that's going to be a very impulsive break below. This would happen in almost every single case. This is happening in this situation also. So yeah, as soon as you draw an upward forming trend line, you would know that there is going to be an impulsive break below and price would fall back into some higher time frame support, right? How would you know that price is about to break below the trend line? It's kind of very simple. If you look at the bounces above this trend line, and by the way, this is something that I did mention in my market update as well. Let me see if I did point this out in my, yeah, USDT. I pointed out that USDT.D is at resistance, but remember that BTC is sitting above trend line, bouncing a bit here, but it's not a good thing. Okay, once again, just like I said, this should be a common knowledge if you have been watching some of my previous live streams. I'm clearly pointing out that since it's bouncing above the trend line, the more it bounces here, better the chances it breaks below to 92,000 eventually, because we know that, whenever price just continues to bounce off a certain level over and over again, and the retracement bounces or rejections, whatever you would like to call it, if those things are getting smaller and smaller and smaller, it basically gives you an idea that the buyers in this case, they're no longer interested in buying this level. Okay. And this is why, I was more focused on short positions instead of long positions, although almost everybody was pointing out that Bitcoin has been sitting on support, so we need to avoid opening any short positions. No, because the equity market, if you look at the chart for ES, you can see that the levels that I have drawn, people usually try to trade almost all of these different strategies, ICT, SMC, almost all of, you know, all sorts of complicated stuff. But with me, something that I've mastered over the past 7 to 8 years is support and resistance. So one thing that I'm almost always sure about is support and resistance. The levels that I draw, they're hardly ever wrong. I take pride in this fact. And you can see that ES just hit into this resistance level. We had the first retest, then we had the second small retest. And now not only we just are getting rejected at this resistance level, but at the same time, we have the quarterly VWAP. You can see that the ELD VWAP, we just bounced a little bit above the ELD VWAP. If I just turn off these TVEM bands, you would be able to see it more clearly. So, you can see that this black line right here, this is the 4-hour quarterly VWAP. So we tapped the 4-hour quarterly VWAP, and not only this, but also the 4-hour resistance. Then we bounced off a little bit above this ELD VWAP. We just, continued to range in this area, but then we just had a break below, and now we are headed towards this point of control. And I believe that, once ES drops back down to maybe, one day, and by the way, you can see that how beautifully 1-day 12-period exponential moving average is working. We already have, we already have given access to this script to almost everybody who opened a ticket in the Discord server. These scripts are free for you guys. 1-day 12-period exponential moving average, quarterly VWAP, ELD VWAP. These are very important indicators, and you are not going to find it out on the indicators tab in Trading View. We would have to give you access to these indicators. So you can see that, we just had a bounce off this level. I guess this was last Monday when we had the data about GDP being released, and that's when we had this, move towards downside, but we clearly bounced above the 1-day 12-period exponential moving average. Then we went all the way up to this resistance level, plus the 4-hour quarterly VWAP and the 4-hour ELD VWAP, right? And now we are headed back down to this support level, or possibly 1-day 12-period exponential moving average. Also, we'll see what happens, but I'm more focused on the Bitcoin chart right now. I still believe that eventually we will go back down to this region right here, 92,000 level, and then we'll evaluate what exactly happens at that point. But the reason why I'm more interested in this level is because this is where the point of control for the month of April is, okay? And then we are also breaking below the 1-day 12-period exponential moving average and the 4-hour quarterly VWAP. We are sitting in a very weak manner above this trend line. You can see that the first bounce, the second bounce, the third bounce, the fourth bounce, with each one of these bounces, the bounce, the intensity of the bounce, it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller, which basically gives you the idea that price is about to break below this level, and then eventually we will be headed down to this 92,000 support, because that's where the point of control is for the previous month. That is where a strong horizontal support also is. But based on, remember this thing, like I said at the very beginning of the live stream also, that although there is 96.8% probability that we are not going to see any rate cuts in decision tomorrow, but at the same time, the press conference is going to be the really important thing. If you look at the economic calendar, the most important thing you would notice is at 7:30 p.m. UK time, we are going to have the FOMC press conference, right? So the press, the journalists, they are going to ask some hard questions from him. Trump has repeatedly said that, he's doing this intentionally. Bank of England, the European Central Bank, on the other hand, they have cut the interest rate 7 times in a row, but we are not doing that. This is, this is a very slow move. He just called him, lazy as well, slow as well, stiff as well. In his last interview, he called him stiff. But, all these journalists, they are definitely going to ask him these questions regarding Trump's remarks. So it's going to be interesting how he responds. Okay. because based on his tone, market is going to react. Okay, and it's very it's very common for all of these risk assets like Bitcoin to go down a little bit in price just before these kind of important economic news events, because people are less interested in buying these risk assets. Okay, so this is kind of going to be a really important week in my opinion. So let's see what happens. Eventually I'm looking at 92,500 because that's where once again the point of control for the previous month is. The reason why we have been opening short positions, just like I explained earlier, because ES was hitting into the resistance level, Bitcoin was looking very weak, sitting above this trend line. So that's why I had to focus more on short positions instead of long positions. I still have, if I look at my alerts tab, you can see that XRP is headed down to this level. You can see that this is a strong support. We had a deviation. We did not have the first retest of this level, so this is going to be an important one. If we look at IMX, you can see that this is going to be the first retest on IMX chart. If I talk about ENS also, this is going to be the first retest of ENS. Right now is sitting in the middle of nowhere. So the point is that almost all of these other charts, they are giving you an opportunity to go long as well. But sometimes you don't really have to just focus on the strategy itself, but focus on the other charts also. Focus on your external bias as well. And the external bias right now is that, instead of focusing more on long positions, you should be, more focused on short positions, because others.D has not been looking good. Bitcoin right now is not looking good. It will continue to consolidate like this for some time, because just like I explained, we have an important high intensity news event tomorrow. It's not just about the decision on interest rates, it's also about the press conference, because press, they are going to ask all of these hard questions, and based on his tone, market is going to decide what should be happening with all of these risk assets, and especially in the stock market as well, right? Rose is just going back up to the entry point. So if you have not placed the limits, you can still do that. And like I said, it really depends on the others.D chart. Others.D is bouncing above this support level. So please do not enter any random short positions right now, just because there is a possibility that Bitcoin may go down to 92,500. That does not mean that you need to open any short position right now, because others.D is sitting above the support level, right? This is very important. If you have to have the perfect entries possible, then you need to learn how to time the others.D chart, okay, for altcoin specifically. For example, when others.D was hitting into this resistance level, although the whole market was looking bullish and there was a possibility that it would break above the resistance level, but you can see what happened next. We just had this massive rejection at this daily resistance level, and we have seen almost like 2 or 3 rejections at this resistance level already. So nothing really is going to change. We will be opening more short positions once others.D goes back up to 7.79% level. I'm looking at something like this, although I'm not really sure, because others.D has not reacted in the past. It has not reacted at this level as a resistance, right? So you can see that, ideally speaking, we should be seeing something like this. We should go back up and have some kind of rejection at this level. But remember that we have this downward trend line also. If at some point in time in the near future this trend line also comes into play, then you can see altcoins once again rallying real hard. So that's why you need not to have a long-term external bias. That is why it is very important to flip the bias as soon as possible. That's why it's not a good idea to have longer term swing positions open. You need to switch your bias immediately, right? We were non-stop opening long positions. We had to switch our bias towards the short positions, and now you can see that we have like 3 to 4 short positions in a row. But right now I would suggest waiting for others.D chart to go back up, retest this resistance level, and that's when you can start opening more short positions. Right now you can definitely focus on long positions, but it's not really it's not really going to be a good idea, because ideally speaking you would want to open any long positions on altcoins when you are 100% sure that Bitcoin has bottomed out, and at the same time others.D is also hitting some kind of strong horizontal support. In this case, although others.D is sitting at strong horizontal support, it has bounced off this level in the past. But this is not the case with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin right now is sitting, I would still say it's sitting in the middle of nowhere. It's looking weak. It's still just trying to hold above this trend line, but clearly that's not happening right now. it's still struggling to hold above this 1-day 12-period exponential moving average and 4-hour quarterly VWAP. And I'm telling you, the more and more it bounces above this level, the more and more it bounces above these dynamic lines and above this, a trend line, the more weak price action you would have, a more impulsive break towards downside you are going to see. Okay, so that's why you need to be careful, with opening any random long positions right now. And if you have any long positions open, you need to simply just de-risk, because we have an important news event coming up tomorrow. So this is the update about the Bitcoin chart in all. This is the update about the others.d chart. Let's talk about the total two chart, USDT dominance chart as well. USDT dominance, the same story. We had the first rejection, we had the second rejection, we had the third rejection, fourth rejection. This is going to be the fifth rejection. It's something that's really important is this level right here. If we have to see a dump on the Bitcoin chart, then USDT dominance needs to break above this level. The reason why I say this is because the reason why I have this level clearly marked, you can see that, is not because of any dynamic level. It's because of the the set of impulsive and corrective waves that we are seeing. One thing that almost all of us would agree over is that USDT dominance is clearly in a downtrend, right? On the 4-hour time frame chart, on the daily time frame chart, almost all of us would agree that USDT dominance is in a downtrend, and Bitcoin is in an uptrend, right? And we know that whenever the trend is strong, what you can do is you can always make use of the fib levels. You can always draw the fib levels from the start of impulsive wave to the end of impulsive wave. And if I just show you the levels, you would notice that we are almost hitting into, and we almost just did that. Okay, so this is very important, and this is the only last resistance remaining on the USDT dominance chart. Okay, I know I just said that Bitcoin should be going down to 92,500. It's looking very weak, but that does not exclude the fact that USDT dominance is still sitting at a very strong resistance level. This is in itself a strong resistance. And not only this, but at the same time, you can clearly see that I already have this line being marked, because this is a 65% fib level. And we know that price almost always, if the trend is strong, price would almost always react at 65% or 70% fib level. Okay, so I mentioned the same thing in my last market update also in the Discord server, saying that this is a 65% fib level. And if Bitcoin has to go down, to 92,500, then USDT dominance needs to reclaim this level, needs to go back above 65% level, which is, right here. And it has to be in the form of wick. Okay, because if it just starts reclaiming this level, then we can see that it would ultimately go back at least up to this level, or at least up to this level. Even if it just goes back up to 5.37% level, that's a 3% drop on Bitcoin. Let's see where 3% is going to be on the Bitcoin chart. That would roughly, I guess, be 88,000. Yeah, that's going to be 90,800, right? So there is a possibility, we are in a very risky situation. If we don't get rejected at this level, at 65% level on the USDT dominance chart, then ultimately we would reclaim this this level right here. This is a very important resistance right now. We already have been hitting into this resistance over and over again. The more and more we know that price hits into a level over and over again, the weaker that level actually gets. So same is the situation right here. We hit into this level once, twice, thrice, then we had the fourth reaction also, and now we are almost about to break above this level. But something that is in the way of USDT dominance going up is this 65% fib level. Okay, because we are in a strong downtrend. We can always look at the set of impulsive and corrective waves. This is the impulsive wave. You can see that impulsive wave, corrective wave, it's looking something like this: impulsive wave, corrective wave, impulsive wave, and corrective wave, right? And we can always draw the fib level and expect the price to go down at 65% level. This is what's happening right now. This is what exactly is happening right now. But at the same time, you need to pay attention to the fact that we are trading above 1-day 12-period exponential moving average. We are trading above this MTF 200 EMA. We are trading above the TVEM band. We are trading above the point of control for the previous month. Okay, so the situation really is 50-50 right now, because even if we get rejected around here, we still have all of these important support levels for USDT dominance, which means that Bitcoin would find it really difficult to go back above 95,000, right? But at the same time, USDT dominance would find it really difficult to break above 65% level because this is a strong downtrend. And if we manage to break above this level, then ultimately it would go back up to this blue line right here, which is the next resistance level for USDT dominance, which basically means that Bitcoin would ultimately go back down to 91,000, 90,800, and it could be in the form of wick as well, right? Ultimately you would see the wick and you would say that Bitcoin just wicked down to 92,000, which was the point of control for the previous month. That's how it basically works. It would be more like different candles on the smaller time frame chart, but on the 4-hour time frame chart it's simply just going to look like a wick. Okay, but my bias right now is still the same, because USDT dominance is looking strong right now, although it's in a downtrend. But I still believe that we should be more focused on any short positions instead of long positions. Any bounce that we are seeing in the market, and remember that this is not a long-term bias. The situation is evolving every few hours. We have so many important news events coming up every single day. We have trade talks happening. The Trump administration is already saying that, in the next 1 or 2 weeks, we are going to see some important announcements about the trade deals. They are continuously negotiating with India, Japan, and, South Korea, not with China. With the Chinese administration, we definitely have uncertainty, and this is what the market has been waiting for. But we are going to see some trade deal announcements being made in the next 1 or 2 weeks. With China also, they said that they are going to reach some kind of trade agreement before 4th and 5th of July, but definitely that's not gonna happen. I was pointing this out yesterday in some chat as well, that it's not realistically possible to reach a trade agreement in such a short period. And in my opinion, it's going to be first a 90-day pause. It was next, it's going to be a 180-day pause, and then it's going to be a 360-day pause, right? Because realistically speaking, it's not possible to reach a trade agreement in weeks or even in months. Things like these would usually take years, right? So it's not possible for us to have a trade agreement in such a short period. But Trump administration is saying that they have seen some kind of meaningful progress being made in their talks with South Korea, with Japan, with India. With India, they are hopefully the next announcement is going to be regarding a trade agreement with India, because this is what the Trump administration is mainly focused on, considering that India is geographically close to China. So that's why, just to put pressure on China, they are trying their best to reach a trade agreement with India. With the Japanese, they already have the Japanese team officials, government officials in the US. They are trying to negotiate. The negotiations are still taking place. So yeah, from the Trump administration, the news is that they are going to have some kind of trade agreement with at least these three countries: South Korea, India, and Japan, in the next 1 or 2 weeks, and the announcement would be made shortly. So yeah, let's see what happens. But in terms of fundamentals, definitely there is a big uncertainty. And in terms of charts, I already just explained to you that we are sitting above most of these important major support levels on the USDT dominance chart. But you can see how beautiful this is. We just had a rejection at 65% level, and I already have this level being marked on the chart, because if this is a strong downtrend, and if the trend reversal is happening, then USDT dominance essentially needs to break back above this level, which has not happened as of yet. And this is exactly why Bitcoin is trying its best to trying its best to break below this trend line, but that's not happening, right? Because right now we are not only sitting at the strong horizontal resistance, but at the same time the 65% level also. But I'm still sure that at some point in the next few hours, you are going to see the reclaim of this level. This rejection right here, it's just a symbolic rejection. This rejection usually almost always happens, but after just a few candles, we would ultimately go back up, at least up to this level, which would result in Bitcoin at least working down to 90,000, 91,000, which is where the point of control for the previous month is, right? Depending on the chart of the exchange that you are looking at. If you're looking at the Binance chart, the positioning of the point of control, it could be slightly different, but it's somewhere around 91,000, 92,000. That's where, in my opinion, price could go back down to, right? And this is exactly why I'm opening more short positions. I would be, waiting for 𝗍𝘗𝘗 to go back up to this resistance level. You can see that, we have a strong bounce happening, and this is why these levels, they're so important. This is why you need to have a very good knowledge about, all of these levels. If you don't have, a knowledge about others.d chart, you would simply just jump into short position, thinking that, okay, maybe Bitcoin is about to go down, so I just need to jump into a short position. No, you need to focus on others.d chart as well, which is right now sitting at a support. So maybe wait for it to go back up to this resistance level, and that's when you can, enter into a short position. Okay, now over to you guys. If you have any specific questions, any chart requests, please make sure to drop in the chat box. How big of a BTC dump do we expect? It's not really going to be a BTC dump. I wouldn't really call it a dump. That's only going to be, hopefully a $3,000, $4,000 drop. But it really depends on what kind of remarks are we going to see, from Chairman Powell, regarding the question that he would be asked. So yeah, it's not just about the decision, because decision is kind of very obvious. I already have explained this in the previous live streams also, that this probability graph, it's almost in 99.99% of the cases almost always accurate. The only two occasions at which the graph was not accurate, the curve, the probability curve was not accurate, was back in 2019, I guess, and then back in 1992. I don't know if there were these kind of probability graphs back in 92 or not, but at that time, market definitely was not expecting any rate cuts. But usually, it's, the probability curve, it's usually almost always accurate. So if, the probability curve is saying that the interest rates are going to remain the same, there is 96.8% probability, then definitely that's what is about to happen tomorrow. Why take rows with others.d being where it is at? Is the confluence that strong to hold? No, it's not just about the confluence being strong. If we just talk about the the rows chart, just take a look at the dynamic levels. Yes, we have the 1-day 12-period exponential moving average, 4-hour quarterly VWAP, 4-hour ELD VWAP. So definitely the confluence in itself is strong. Yes, I agree with that. But it's not just about the confluence being strong. It's also about that, the others.d chart, although it's sitting at support, right? Although it's sitting at support, but it has already bounced off this level 2 times, right? The first time, the second time. And at some point in time, it has to break below this support level. And especially if Bitcoin starts going down, especially if Bitcoin starts breaking below this trend line or even goes back down to this, let's say 88,000 level, only then you would see others.d chart also breaking below. But at the same time, USDT dominance is not only trading above support level, but at the same time, it's getting rejected at the 65% level, right? So it's a very mixed kind of situation, very uncertain kind of situation. At one end, you have others.d sitting at support. Yes, basically pointing out that you should not be going short on rows. But at the same time, Bitcoin is sitting very weak above this trend line, which basically is telling you that you should be shorting right now, because, if Bitcoin goes down to 90,000, 89,000, you can catch a good short position. But at the same time, USDT dominance is going back above this level right here. But not only this, it's also hitting into 65% level, which basically is giving you an opposite scenario. So that's why it was kind of a uncertain situation. And I did point out that it's a risky situation. That's why it is rated 6 out of 10 and not 8 out of 10. But yeah, as soon as the live stream ends, I would be, writing a detailed market update, and I would point out in that update that it's a risky position right now, because, not only USDT dominance is getting rejected at 65% level, which means that Bitcoin is going up, but at the same time, others.d is also going up. So Bitcoin going up, others.d at the same time going up, that's not a good scenario for any short positions, because, you have market going up from both sides, not only because Bitcoin is going up, but also because others.d is going up. And at the end of the day, since Rose, it's a mid market cap coin, so that's why you need to be focused on the others.d chart, right? Injective and PEP, okay. I give it a 50-50. Milk USDT. Is it milk or MLK? And by the way, I have few short positions that I'm looking at. In my watch list, you can see that OGN, LSK, Portal, DYM, Me USDT, Rose, K, A, IA. I don't know how to pronounce this, but this one also, and I have a few others as well that I'm looking at. So yeah, we'll see what we have to do with the rest of these charts, but it really depends on what others.D chart is doing. If it continues to go back up to this level and then it gets rejected, then we will be entering into more short positions. But right now, USDT dominance just had a massive rejection at 65% level, which is the most important news right now. And it's going back down to the point of control plus 1 day 12 period and the MTF 200 EMA. So we'll see what happens. Right now it's just 50-50. Okay, ENA, let's take a look at ENA. I was planning to short ENA. In fact, we had a short position on ENA, if you guys remember. Yeah, this was a short position 2-3 days ago. We had to close this short position break even, but this was a really good short position. At that time, you can see that price just went, had a break below. Price had a break below, then just consolidated, went back up, gave a bearish retest, and then simply just went down. So we had this short position. We had to close this one break even. But yeah, for those of you who played out on this short, it just gave a nice 18% move downside. That was a very good short position. But right now, ENA is sitting on support. Okay. For as long as something is sitting on support or at resistance, you cannot really say that it's about to break below, it's about to break above. So for as long as ENA is sitting on this support level, any long position on ENA would make sense. But it's just my rule that I would not trade a level if price is tapped at level over and over again. So considering that, price has bounced off this level at least at 3 different occasions in the past, I would not try to take any long position right now. But once again, since we are sitting at this support level, so you can always just, if you have already a long position open, you can be confident in that. If you don't have any long position, you would like to risk any long right now, I would not suggest doing so, because this is not what my trading strategy is like. But if you just want to go long because ENA is sitting at support, you can always do that. You can place your stops just below this low, and then you can simply just target this high right here. It's very simple. This is the resistance, this is support. If it bounces off here, it would ultimately go back up to 0.330833 cents. That's going to be almost a 27% more, right? It's very simple. Milk listed 1 minute ago in BLOFIN. If something just got listed 1 minute ago, obviously there is no price action available. So I don't really think it would definitely be listed over 𝗍𝒑 for a long time. Wow, 𝗍𝒑 just listed at on 29th of April. That's a bit surprising, because 𝗍𝒑 almost always lists these kind of shit coins before any other exchange. So yeah, I just cannot really say anything about it, because there is no price action available for me to just draw anything. So that's why I just cannot say anything on that. What is your dynamic line set on ENA? Let's take a look at the dynamic lines. It's not really about the dynamic lines, because dynamic lines are going to be far away. Yeah, this is 1 day 12 period. This is quarterly VWAP. This is yearly VWAP. So every single dynamic line is almost 13% away from the current market price. So it's this chart, it's not really going to be impacted by any dynamic line. It would really depend on how Bitcoin behaves or how others.D reacts here. If they just continue to go up from this point, then you would also see ENA recovering and going at least up to this level first, then this level next, and then this level right here. Solana, we still have a long position limits for long positions open on Sol. This is the point that I've been looking at. Where is that long position? We still have a limits placed on Solana. I did say this in the previous live stream also, that for me, Sol right now is sitting in the middle of nowhere. Okay, so there is no point for me to open any kind of position right now or Solana. Okay, we have placed this limit since 13th of April, and these limits, they're still active. These limits, we actually got a very narrow miss on these limits back on 16th of April when price went down to $123, and our limit was at 121.12. But yeah, I would just continue to wait, because for me right now, Solana is sitting in the middle of nowhere. The next resistance for Sol is at $180. Next support is at $121. For me right now is sitting in the middle of nowhere. There is no reason to go long or short on Solana right now because there is no support and resistance level for me, okay, in the middle of nowhere. So I would simply just wait for price to go back down to 120.88 level, and this is where I would be interested in taking a long position on Sol. I know that's going to take some time, but I believe that it's going to be in the form of a wick. It's going to be a huge wick down to 120% level, and that's when we are going to get a fill on Sol, right? Even if you would draw the fib levels, you can see that 161, 61, 65, 70%, 78% fib levels all are in this entry range. So this is the reason why a few weeks ago I cancelled all of my pending limit orders except for one on Sol, because I'm still confident that this limit order is looking good. So we just need to wait a little bit, and that's when we would get a fill. Yeah, Bitcoin is just bouncing a little bit here, but remember that it's only because of USDT dominance. It's not because of the Bitcoin chart. It's because of the USDT dominance chart. Okay, if you would try to find the reason for this bounce on the Bitcoin chart, then you wouldn't really find any. But on the USDT dominance chart, you still have price getting rejected at 65% fib level. But remember that in most of the cases like these, what would happen is that price would get rejected, it would give a small rejection, and then it would go back up, ultimately reclaiming that level. So even if the rejection is happening, that does not mean that the rejection is permanent, because you have almost all of these different dynamic lines that are sitting right below the price. 1-day 12 period, MTF 200 EMA, quarterly VWAP, POC, TVEM band also. So all of these dynamic lines, they're sitting in this range. So that's why no need to be excited right now on Bitcoin. We are still trading in the same range. We are still trading above the trend line, right? And by the way, Rose almost went back up to entry point. So I think if you did place the limits, no, it's still, let's set an alert around here so that if it just goes back down to the entry point, we get notified. But yeah, I still have almost all of these different coins that I'm looking at, and almost all of them are looking good short positions. But you need to remain really focused on others.d. If others.d continues to go back up, then that's not a good thing. But I'm betting on the fact that others.d already has bounced off this level so many times, it should ultimately go back down to 7.4% level in my opinion. And that's going to be a massacre on altcoins. This would only happen if Bitcoin breaks below. So I'm really hoping that, Bitcoin breaks below this trend line, ultimately resulting in others.d also going down to 7.42% level. And that's when we would see a major dump in altcoins. I need you to withdraw your BTC funds, please. I know you own 70% of market cap. You are always joking. Okay, let's take a look at Pendle. That's a bit of a noisy price action. Let's see, we have resistance, obvious resistance here. Let's go to the slightly higher time frame. We have a resistance. Then we have this massive trend line. That price just had a break below. If I just try to adjust it like this, if you're requesting a chart, then please just write with the request if it's a long position or short positions that you are looking for. Okay, it would help me give my analysis. Or if you have any position open, just let me know. Okay, so this is a massive resistance that Pendle has been trying to break above for quite some time. You can see that even if I extend this box, this has been a massive level, right? We had a bounce off this level, went below this level, rejection, came back up, a bounce, once again a bounce, came back under this level once again. We had rejection, second rejection, third rejection, fourth rejection. This was in fact looking like an ascending triangle, but not exactly an ascending triangle, because this was not an uptrend, this was a downtrend. But anyways, pendle right now is just had a break below the trend line. If you go to the 4-hour time frame chart, I believe that it's just breaking below this horizon. No, it's actually sitting above this horizontal level, right? So right now it's sitting above this level. If I take a look at the dynamic lines, once again, a slightly confusing situation. These are not the kind of charts that I like to trade, to be very honest. You see that this is a major daily time frame resistance. This is a 4-hour support. You have this trend line as well. Then you have the price bouncing off 4-hour quarterly VWAP. You have 1-day 12-period exponential moving average quarterly VWAP. So literally price is stuck between almost all of these different levels, right? Pendle long. Okay, if you are in a long position, then although it's just sitting above this level, this is a support level, but right now you have like so many different resistances in the form of this trend line, in the form of 1-day 12-period exponential moving average, 4-hour quarterly VWAP, VWAP, 1-day 200-period exponential moving average, point of control for the month of Feb and April. Do not expect anything crazy from pendle, right? And please just let me know your entry point as well. Even if it goes back up, it's only going to go up at least 5%, 6%. Apart from that, this is the worst price action that you can see. It's literally not doing anything. It's just continuing to consolidate in this range. It has been consolidating in this range since 9th of April, right? It has been almost 1 month. It's 6th of May, since 9th of April, it has been moving in this range. So I don't really know what exactly you are expecting from pendle, because it's just continuing to move in this range. There is no short position because it's continuously getting rejected at this level. There is no long position. This was an opportunity to long. This was another one, but now there have been too many bounces above this level. So essentially, there is no opportunity to go long on pendle right now. But yeah, if you took this position from any other different analyst, then they may have a slightly different bias. They may have a slightly different analysis. I'm not criticizing that. So you need to ask them this question. Caspa, okay. Yeah, I had a long position. I was planning to take a long position on this one. You can see that this was a very good. By the way, I have been hearing this a lot, that Caspa has a lot of manipulation going on. It has been, it is being done by 𝗍𝗃. I'm not sure what kind of manipulation, but there has been some price manipulation going on with this pair. So you need to be just aware about this. Okay, if you are planning to take any long position, then this is the point, this is the support. Your entry is at 3.2. What are you saying? What is your entry on this coin? If you could just let me know in the chat box. If you're planning to open any long position, this was the perfect opportunity to open a long. It already has passed. So if you still want to do that, then just try to have a very tight stop loss, something like this, and then take a long position, because it's a rule in my trading strategy that if the first retest has happened, then that was your only best opportunity to take a long or a short position. Can you define what manipulation means? I was reading a post. I don't know if it was a post on Reddit or if it was a post on Facebook, but there was a post about some manipulation, some price manipulation going on with this pair. And the person posting that was basically accusing 𝗍𝗃. Yeah, it was a Twitter post. So somebody was accusing 𝗍𝗃 of manipulating the price for Caspa. I don't know. That was because of a pump and dump, because the price already had gone up a lot on some other exchange, and price was stable on the 𝗍𝗃 exchange. So 𝗍𝗃 started selling or something like that. I'm not completely sure about what the whole story was, but there has been some manipulation going on with this pair. So that's why I thought I should warn you. Is it usually performed by exchanges or by large market makers? Uh, Basically by anyone. It can be done by anyone, right? If you have big enough capital, you can also do market manipulation. If you are a market maker, you can obviously do market manipulation. If you are an exchange, then you can obviously do that, right? 𝗍𝗃 has been accused in the past also of doing that. So yeah, market manipulation is basically wash trading, is layering, is spoof trading, spoofing you can call it, is manipulating the price of an asset. So there are multiple types of price manipulation. So it really depends on what manipulation you're talking about. It could be in the form of pump and dump. It could be in the form of spoofing. It could be in the form of layering. It could be in the form of stacking multiple orders. It could be in the form of pump and dump. So yeah, multiple types of price manipulation, and almost all of these exchanges have strict regulations against, price manipulation. But 𝗍𝗃 has been accused in the past also of manipulating price. 𝗍𝗃 is accused over and over again of trading against their audience, of manipulating price against their customers. I don't know how true is that, but I definitely have some tea on 𝗍𝗃, which I would be sharing later on, because I already had two accounts on 𝗍𝗃 which got blocked. Okay, I don't know what was the reason. It has been almost 10 days that they have blocked my accounts. They have frozen my funds. They asked me to do advanced 𝗘𝗚C. Both of my accounts, they already had 𝗘𝗚C. They asked me to do advanced 𝗘𝗚C, submitting proof of address and everything. I already done that. They accepted the advanced 𝗘𝗚C, but they still have my funds logged. It's been almost 10 days. And this is why I have literally been begging everyone watching my stream or in my server also, not to trade on 𝗍𝗃. Okay, please, this is a request to all of you. Please do not trade on 𝗍𝗃, because they can just lock your funds at any point in time. If you are actually profitable, they would not really want you to trade on their exchange. Okay, this is a very common knowledge about 𝗍𝗃, that they don't want any profitable traders. They are essentially working as a market maker. They don't have 𝗍𝗃 basically creates their own order book. 𝗍𝗃 basically provides its own liquidity in the order books. Okay, maybe I would have to do another live stream on this particular subject, but I'm not going to do that in this stream. I just want my funds back first. I just want my account being unlocked first, and that's when I would be sharing the complete details about what exactly is going on with 𝗍𝗃. I have complete proof of that. I'm not just gonna make up any fact. I have seen multiple posts over Twitter of people accusing 𝗍𝗃 of acting as a market maker, acting as the liquidity provider for most of these different pairs. But I have complete proof of that, which I would be sharing at some point in time later on. What is the let them theory? It's a very good book. You guys should read that. It's by Mel Robbins. Um, the let them theory. It's a very good book. Yeah, exactly. You need to be careful if you're using 𝗍𝗃. I don't know. I've been warning people for so long uh, against 𝗍𝗃 and 𝗘𝗁𝑥. I still had, accounts on both of these exchanges, but I was not actively trading over there. But they still managed to freeze my funds, block my accounts, even though, my both of my accounts, they were KYC'd. They had advanced 𝗘𝗚C, but they still managed to do that. So let's just hope. I have submitted all the documents and everything. So let's just hope that they unlock my accounts. They would at some point in time unlock my funds as well. They have given me a 30-day period. They said that they are doing the risk control analysis. So basically, 𝗍𝗃 recently introduced the system of risk control. They had this system in place for quite some time, but they made some changes in that system recently. So every time you start making any profits, or if your account is overall profitable, the risk control system would automatically trigger. Okay, and then they would manually review your account. They can freeze your funds. 𝗍𝗃 recently, just last month, back on 15th of March, 2 months ago, in fact, back on 15th of March, they updated their terms and conditions, and now 𝗍𝗃 legally is allowed to hold your funds for 365 days. And if they say that, they find something wrong and you are not able to give any answer to any questions that they ask, they have the right to simply just remove all of your funds from their exchange and say that, okay, we just had to take away your funds. So now, initially, before they updated their policies back on 15th of March, the period was for 30 days. Like, they could only hold back your funds for 30 days. They had to complete the review in 30 days, but now they've extended the period to 365 days. And I would suggest you guys to just write 𝗍𝗃 risk control on Twitter, or on Google, or on Reddit, and you would see multiple complaints of people because it's an automatic system, right? It's an automatic system. It could just be triggered by anything. Even if you withdraw something, even if you deposit something, even if you open big position, even if your trading volume is big, they would simply, the risk control system, it would automatically trigger, and then they would hold back your funds for 365 days. They're allowed to do so. And you would find countless examples of people complaining that their funds have been logged for 365 days. MEXC is clearly telling them that please contact us after 1 year, and then we would give you what decision we have made after this review, right? So you just need to be aware that, even I know that people always give this argument that the fee is zero. And if your account gets logged, if you have $10,000 in your account, or even if you have $1,000 in your account and your account gets logged for 1 year, or they simply just tell you that, okay, we are not going to give you back your funds, because they literally have said that to people. They literally said to people that, we are not going to give your funds back, and we are simply just, people woke up the next day and their whole account was empty, with MEXC saying that we have taken away your fund because of any reason, because it was in violation of our terms and conditions or anything, and we're not going to give you your funds back. And there is absolutely nothing that you would be able to do, right? Because even the country that they are registered in, it's in, I guess, North Africa. It's a it's a very unknown kind of country. I don't even know what the name of the country is, but this is a reason why they are registered in these far off regions, just to avoid any kind of lawsuits and stuff. So yeah, you just need to avoid MEXC. Okay, this is an honest advice for all of you. You can use BLOFIN. Even if you are not using my referral link, the communication with BLOFIN has been excellent. BLOFIN may have their own issues with liquidity sometimes, with people may find that the fee is a bit high, but at least they're not locking your funds. But at least it's a non-KYC'd exchange. Okay, so you have so many different benefits, and if you register with our referral link, you obviously have the advantage that if at any point in time you encounter any kind of issues, we would be able to resolve it for you, because we are almost all the time in contact with them. Okay, I am affiliated with MEXC also, but imagine that it has been almost 15 days and my account manager has still not responded. The guy literally just refuses to respond. Okay, this is the kind of communication we have with MEXC. Same is the case with Bybit also. But with BLOFIN, every time you ask them for anything, they would just get back to you immediately. Cake chart analysis. I have been planning to, I guess, open a short position on Cake. I don't know if it was Cake or Bake. Yeah, this was a short position. In fact, we had limits placed for this short a month ago. The limits were placed back on 5th of April, but we had to cancel all the limits because at that time market was looking really hot. But know that it's right now sitting above this trend line, but at the same time it has this major resistance to cover. If you are planning to open any long position on Cake, please be aware of the fact that it's sitting below this major strong resistance level. You would notice the same thing on the daily time frame chart. So there is no need to open any long position on Cake right now. With short positions, you can still do that. You can still wait for price to go back up and open a short position. But Cake, it's a slightly risky coin. It's always just, you can see that every time it gets rejected, after a rejection, it makes these massive candles breaking back above. But the reason why I was planning to open this short position was because this is a very strong resistance level, and almost every single occasion, price has almost always reacted at this level. You can see that rejection, came back up, bounce, came back below, rejection, came back up, the bounce, once again came back under this level, rejection, came back up, once again a bounce, fell back under this level, once again rejection. So it's just a textbook kind of setup for you. It should be. But since the first rejection already has happened, so I'm not going to open any other short position at this level, right? So I would just avoid doing that. Foxian has the best customer service. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. So that's it for today. Almost 60-70 plus people were watching the live stream, but only 39 of you have liked it. I would really appreciate if all of you are just able to like the live stream and then subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're not following me over Twitter, once again, I occasionally share calls, market updates, everything over my Twitter account also, 𝗟𝘅𝗻𝗏. This is my Twitter handle. You can follow me over Twitter. If you would like to receive more organized updates and calls, you can always join the Discord server. The link you can find in the description of this video. The final question is USDT.D and others.D has direct correlation to each other and how it affects altcoins. No, there is no direct correlation between USDT dominance and others dominance. USDT dominance is something which is directly related to Bitcoin. Okay, there could be an indirect correlation, but there is no direct correlation, right? Indirectly, almost all of these indices, they are correlated with each other, but others.d is something which is mostly relevant to altcoins, and USDT dominance is basically it's a it's the market capitalization for stable coins. It's something which is related to Bitcoin, right? It's inversely or negatively correlated with Bitcoin, not with altcoins. Okay, so yeah. Anyways, thank you so much, guys, for joining in. I hope you guys enjoyed the live stream. And once again, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the live stream, follow me over Twitter, and join the Discord server. And we also have, I guess, a discount going on the mentorship program. So if you're not joined the mentorship program, you can always open a support ticket, join the mentorship program. It's a lifetime mentorship program with almost all of these things explained in detail, with 300 plus lectures, access to 300 plus videos you're going to have for lifetime, access to tools, access to indicators, access to all the resources, books, everything. So yeah, if you would like to join the Discord server, if you would like to join the mentorship program, just join the Discord server using the link in the description of this video and open a support ticket. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye bye.